The episode opens with Karen Baldwin being driven to a remote location on the outskirts of the city. As the radio transmission recaps what happened with the Polaris Hotel and how NASA is determined to investigate the safety certificates of said hotel. Baldwin instructs the driver to turn the radio off. Listening to how your investment went down a fiery drain isn't a pleasing auditory sensation. Baldwin enters a makeshift tent and comes face to face with Dev Issa, the new charismatic billionaire head of Helios. Previously only seen in the first episode in newspaper clippings and heard about during snippets of conversation. Issa finally enters the fray with an interesting proposition to Baldwin to buy out the Polaris Hotel for a very generous amount that made even Karen's eyebrows raise. I am liking how the writers are developing Karen's character with far greater agency than in the previous seasons. As she decodes Issa's motivations for buying her hotel, we learn that Issa had been testing a methane-based rocket engine, whose rate of combustion wouldn't be advantageous for moon travel, but would be fine for Mars travel. However, Helios plans to make a rocket and get going to Mars would be a 7-year plan at the minimum. So Issa, in typical big conglomerate fashion, buys out an already existing spacecraft, the Polaris Hotel, installs his proprietary methane-3 engine, and thus produces a Mars-borne spacecraft in half the time and can join the space race. The fact that Issa only offers a mysterious smile as Karen lays her theory out, only remarking at the end, "That's a fascinating theory," is clever writing to both afford exposition without compromising the intelligence of any of the characters. Karen, upon realizing that she is right, asks the next logical question: why? What Issa reveals is both indicative of the utopia of the American dream as well as this universe's propensity to reward anyone who is first. Issa's father, an immigrant, had been a staunch proponent of the American dream. And Issa remembers him being summarily distraught when the red Soviet flag was unfurled on the surface of the moon in 1969. Issa's inference from that event was twofold. Coming first was always the intention, and the winning of the race by a third party would ensure that the division of Mars, like the moon, could be averted. Like the concept of harem, which Issa had been taught by his father, the colonization of planets and moons beyond the purview of Earth should be done to uplift collective humanity. And he is content to hike up the buyout of Polaris by 10% if it means the space race can begin in earnest. As Baldwin shakes hands with Issa and prepares for the return journey home, we see her and Issa looking over at the horizon as the methane-based Nerva engine is undergoing a test run. The camera pans toward Issa, looking at the sight with wonder. Is he wondering about the scientific accomplishment, or at the new opportunity that has just opened up? Molly Cobb is now the rage-fueled, determined head of the Mars mission program. Her blindness doesn't stop her from walking straight to Generalismo Margot Madison's office and pointing out to her secretary the small inconsequential addition in the latest memo: the creation of an astronaut selection committee. Molly confirms that this is Madison's stealthy method of a power grab. She takes advantage of Margot's absence from NASA to speed up measures. She appoints Danny Poole as the head of the second Mars mission, explaining to her that her advanced qualifications would be handy in exploring the question of life on Mars and other scientific advancements once Ed Baldwin is successful in accomplishing the first Mars mission and setting everything up for the backup crew. While Danny is angry at being thrown to the wayside in favor of Ed, primarily because she suspects Ed and Molly's having a prior relationship as friends played into the decision. She accepts her role as head of the backup crew. Ed, on the other hand, is visibly emotional when he is finally informed by Molly about his selection, with the important three-word advice: "Don't fuck this up." The underlying commentary here, the selection of Ed Baldwin over Danny Poole, will evolve from subtext to visible text a few scenes down the line. But it also shows the advantage of strong networking, which Ed takes advantage of when he calls Kelly, his adopted daughter, who is currently leading a research expedition to Siberia to research bacteria living in inhospitable conditions. Ed informs her of his still unannounced promotion and offers her the job of chief research scientist on his crew. It is interesting to see the Apple Message Pad being used as a communication device, reminding you that while technology has progressed in some aspects, it is still the 90s. Kelly accepts her father's offer, because why wouldn't she? While researching microorganisms' survival in inhospitable conditions is interesting in the land of extreme cold like Antarctica or Siberia, to logically extrapolate that research to the Red Planet is a chance she wouldn't want to pass up on.